Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty unique.
Oh, yeah.
It's a podcast called Standing in the Gaps. And
Interesting.
yeah, and we're going to be looking at their GoFundMe campaign to kind of get a feel for,
For what they're all about.
yeah, exactly. What makes them tick.
I'm intrigued. I have to say the name itself is pretty powerful, standing in the gaps.
Right. It grabs you.
Yeah, it does. It makes you wonder, what gaps are they talking about?
Well, they talk about tackling some pretty,
Controversial.
yeah, tough topics, like where faith meets politics or how economics plays into social justice.
Big issues.
For sure. And they're doing it all through the lens of their biblical beliefs, which adds another layer to it all.
Absolutely. I mean, you can really see the passion in their campaign. They want to make a difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're not shying away from these potentially difficult conversations.
No, they're leaning right in. It's refreshing, actually.
It is. It's like they're saying, hey, there are these gaps in our understanding, these places where we disagree, and we want to stand in those gaps and build bridges with, like, honest conversations, find some common ground.
Yeah, bridge building. I like that. That's where the technical side of their campaign really stood out to me.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, they're asking for things like better microphones, cameras, even a new computer for editing, and
Which makes sense. If you want to have these important conversations,
you got to have the tools to do it right.
exactly. It's like they're saying, we're serious about this. We want to reach as many people as possible with the best quality we can.
It shows a real commitment.
It does. It makes you want to listen. Like
Yeah.
if they're putting this much effort in, it's got to be worth hearing.
Definitely. So what exactly are they hoping to upgrade?
Well, let's see. They mentioned webcams, professional microphones. Oh, and a whole new editing computer. Imagine the difference that could make.
Oh, yeah, huge. I mean, higher quality audio and video, faster turnaround on episodes.
It all adds up.
It does. It not only helps them reach more people, but it shows a dedication to quality that I think listeners really appreciate.
It's like they're putting their money where their mouth is, proving they're serious about this endeavor.
And it makes you wonder what they're already accomplishing with their current setup.
Right. They're already making an impact. Think of what they could do with even better tools.
Exactly. And that's where I think the community comes in.
The power of crowdfunding.
Yeah, it's not just about them. It's about giving people a chance to be part of something bigger, to help build something meaningful.
And they're making it easy to get involved.
Oh, yeah, they encourage people to donate whatever they can, or even just share the campaign with their friends and family.
Smart strategy.
It is, because even a small contribution can make a difference.
It's true. Every little bit helps.
It's like that saying, many hands make light work.
I love that.
Yeah,
And it creates this sense of shared ownership.
it does. Everyone who contributes is a part of the podcast's success.
And that's really what's so great about this whole thing, this feeling of community, of people coming together to support something positive.
It's inspiring. It makes you want to learn more about their content and what kind of conversations they're having.
Okay, so we've talked about the name, their mission, the tech upgrades. But what about the content itself? What are some of these tough topics they're tackling?
Let's dive into that next. Well, in their GoFundMe, they mention things like politics, society, economics as these areas they dig into.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's interesting because they're looking at these topics specifically through the lens of their faith.
Which is fascinating, right? How do you bring those two things together?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how do you apply, say, biblical teachings to something like modern economic theory?
Right. Or navigate today's political landscape while staying true to those beliefs.
It's complex.
Very. And that's what I think makes Standing in the Gaps so interesting. They're not just echoing what everyone else is saying.
No, they're really grappling with these ideas, you can tell.
Yeah, exploring different viewpoints, but always within that framework of their belief system.
I think it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Oh, totally. To be willing to have those tough conversations, especially when you're coming from a specific worldview.
It would be so easy to just stay in that echo chamber, talk to people who already agree with you.
Preach to the choir.
Exactly. But they seem to be going for something way bigger.
And that's what I love about this whole idea of standing in the gaps. It's about building bridges.
Connecting with people who might see things differently.
And that's where their focus on better equipment really makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Because having that clear, high-quality audio, the better video, it helps get those nuances across.
Yeah, when you're dealing with sensitive topics, tone is everything.
Right. You need to hear that inflection in someone's voice to really understand their meaning.
And that's where professional equipment can make all the difference.
Totally. It's like they're saying we want our message to be heard, but even more than that, we want to be understood.
And that takes more than just passion. You need the right tools.
You do. And they're not just going for a bigger audience either. They want an engaged audience.
People who are willing to really listen and think critically about what they're hearing.
Yeah, who are open to maybe challenging their own assumptions.
And that's how you build a strong community.
Right, a space where people can share ideas and learn from each other, even when they disagree.
And that sense of community is so important because they can't do this alone.
Even with the best equipment, they still need the support of their listeners.
People who believe in their mission and want to see it succeed.
And that's where their GoFundMe becomes more than just a fundraising campaign.
It becomes a way for people to actively get involved.
To be a part of something bigger.
And their call to action is really clear. They're saying, come join us. Help us build these bridges and have these tough conversations together.
It's powerful stuff. It really makes you wonder what kind of impact they're already having and how much more they could do with the right support.
Those are great questions, and that's what we'll explore next as we take a deeper look at the potential of standing in the gaps and the role podcasts like this can play in our world.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting really excited about this podcast, just hearing about it.
Me too. They're really aiming high.
They are. It's like you said before, the power of a grassroots movement.
Exactly. A small group of people with a big idea and a lot of passion can really make a difference.
You know, it reminds me of this quote I read somewhere, something like, "Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world."
Wow, that's perfect for this. It's that ripple effect.
Yeah, and I think that's what Standing in the Gaps is all about, creating those ripples.
They're not just talking about change, they're actively working towards it.
Exactly. And inviting others to join them.
Their GoFundMe is like an invitation to be a part of something bigger.
To invest in a better future. One where we understand each other a little bit more.
And imagine someone listening to their podcast and feeling inspired, you know? Then they go and have a conversation with a friend or family member about something they never talked about before.
That's how change happens, one conversation at a time.
Like planting a seed, it might take time, but eventually it can grow into something amazing.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired by this story, what's the key takeaway? What do you hope they remember?
I'd say it's this: never underestimate the power of your own voice.
Well, I like that.
Because whether you're donating to their campaign or sharing the podcast or even just having a conversation with someone who sees things differently, you have the power to make a difference.
It all goes back to that idea of bridging divides and finding common ground.
It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
We are. And that even small acts of kindness and understanding can have a huge impact.
Absolutely.
Well said. So to our amazing listeners, if you're looking for a podcast that tackles those big questions with heart and a commitment to faith and reason, check out Standing in the Gaps.
You won't regret it.
And if you want to support their mission, consider contributing to their GoFundMe campaign. Every little bit helps them spread their message.
It's an investment in dialogue and understanding in the future we could build together.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. Thanks for joining us on this inspiring deep dive, everyone.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those conversations going.